So if you watch the January monthly astro forecast, I talked about how it was a month of rest, using your imagination, and not doing the most, all right? And I'm pretty sure it's felt like that because January felt like it lasted 6 years. And thankfully, we're leaving January behind and we're moving into February. That's the good news. The not so good news is that we're still in this slow kind of energy, okay? Things may pick up a little bit in February, but if I'm being honest, not that much. This is still gonna be a time of rest, although we can gain some momentum. And there's definitely some things we should be doing in the month of February to prepare for the launch that we are going to receive in the very near future. All right, so this video is all about the monthly astro forecast for the month of February. All right, so stick around. You definitely don't wanna miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If this is our first time meeting, welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and sound therapist, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So like I said before, this is the monthly astro forecast for the month of February 2025. All right, so we've finally made it through January, as long as it has felt, right? But like I said, we're still in this energy of rest and trust and believe, right? I know it feels frustrating because there's so many things you want to accomplish. It's the top of the year. You want to start new things and things just aren't necessarily panning out. However, I guarantee, and I try not to guarantee too much, but I guarantee by the time we get to spring and summer, you're going to be wishing for this rest time. The rest of the year, astrologically speaking, is on some next shit. I'm not even lying. And if you haven't checked out the yearly astro forecast, link is in the description box below. You'll know exactly, or you'll learn exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So take this time to rest. Now, I will say that February is a month where we can take some steps forward, okay? And there is going to be a little bit of a push this month, a little more than we experienced in January, okay? Because we've got some shifts, we've got some change of directions, and we've got some, let me just put it this way. You know how when you go to the airport, they have those escalators that are just level with the ground? Like, I don't know, I guess they get you to your destination faster, kind of. But you know that awkwardness you feel when you're on it and then you step onto stationary ground? That's kind of how February is going to feel. It's like, okay, you're kind of jolted into something. There's a little bit of a push. But we're going to start to see things begin to move forward this month, which I know is a welcome sight for most of us, especially those of us who have been trying to do the most and haven't been able to do anything. All right, so without further ado, let's get into all of the details. All right, so if I had to sum up the energy of February into a nice little sentence, a theme, if you will, it would be light, love, and lust. Sounds juicy, right? Because it is. Kind of. If you're an astrology nerd, you'll probably find this quite juicy. All right, so first, let's talk light. I say light because the energy of this month feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I said, we are getting a little bit of a push forward after what seems like months of stagnancy. So it's like we're finally starting to see, it's like being on a train, right? And going through the tunnel, and you see that you're getting to the opening, right? And you're making it there slowly but surely. And that's sort of what this month will feel like, all right? Because we've got two planets changing directions. Specifically, these planets have been retrograde and they will now be going direct. This relates to what I was just saying before, right? About how you're on that escalator. I can't even call it an escalator, right? Because it kind of just goes forward, horizontal. Girl, I don't know. But you're on there and then there's this like, or you're walking on stationary ground and you get onto this conveyor belt, let's call it that, right? That's kind of what this is going to feel like. And so it can feel kind of exciting, and you should be excited because again, we're getting kind of a push this month. Now, Spoiler alert, the little push that we're getting in February is going to be a donkey kick to the ass in March. So enjoy it while you can. So it's like we're getting some momentum, get a little gas in the car, right? We're getting a little bit of speed, right? Light at the end of the tunnel. All right, next, love. Now, not just because it's February and Valentine's Day, the astrology does not bode well with Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day being in Aquarius season, one of the most emotionally detached signs. Yeah, not so much. That's definitely a man-made commercial thing. But I say love because we've got a plethora of Pisces energy this month. All right. So we will have the Sun, Mercury, and a new moon in the sign of Pisces within the month of February. And then to add more to this love, right, we have a full moon in the sign of Leo mid-month, actually 2 days before Valentine's Day. Leo is heart-centered energy. So Pisces is all about universal love. Leo is heart-centered energy. So love in various forms is on the menu this month, all right? Whether you're speaking it, whether you're embodying it, or whether you're being courageous enough to engage with it. But that's another video for another day, all right? And then finally, with the juicy part, we get to lust. And that is because Venus is going to be entering the sign of Aries, okay? And so Venus in Aries is lusty. It's sex, the physical act of sex, I should say. Well, let me correct that before any of the astrology people come after me, right? Mars has to do with the physical act of sex. But when you have Venus in the sign that is ruled by Mars, sexual relationships are top of mind, right? I'll get more into this when I talk about Venus in Aries, but it's kind of the thrill of the chase. It's shooting your shot. It's very confident and lusty kind of energy, which is an interesting juxtaposition between the love of Pisces and the lust of Aries, right? So if you're feeling like this in the love department, or if you got a whole bunch of heat in your pants, yeah, that's to be expected this month, right? Channel that into something productive if you can't express it in a constructive way, all right? But either way, I feel like February is that kind of month where we're starting to wake up a little bit, okay? This goes back to the whole light thing, right? When I said light at the end of the tunnel. I want you to think of February as like, okay, let's look at it this way. January was like deep sleep. Like when you go to sleep at night and you're in REM sleep, that was January, like knock the fuck out. Now, you know when it's like, especially if you're someone who wakes up at the same time every day and you set your alarm clock, you know how a lot of times you wake up just before the alarm clock goes off and you're sort of in this half asleep, half awake, but you know you have to get up soon? That's February. So you're still in bed, you're still chilling, the alarm hasn't gone off yet, but you're starting to think about your day, perhaps. You're starting to think about what you're going to do. You're starting to think about some plans, right? That is the essence of the energy of February. All right, so now let's get into the specific astrology for the month. All right, so we open up the month with Venus in Aries. So we're starting off real lusty. Oh my gosh, what I was about to say was crazy. But just imagine having a very lusty dream in your sleep. That's kind of what this is going to feel like, okay? But in either event, Venus entering Aries on February 4th is going to give us a little bit of motivation or a little bit of drive, right? Not just when it comes to sex, right? Venus in Aries could really put relationships top of mind, right? In the sense that you are really listening to your passions and you're like, okay, I really want to be in a relationship, or being motivated about relationship things. They could be, I really want to make some new friends, right? Or I really want to find a great business partner or collaborate with people. It's like lighting a fire under your ass when it comes to these things, okay? So yes, while Venus in Aries is lusty, it's also very focused. Aries energy is laser-like focused on one thing. So my suggestion for you while Venus is in Aries, look to see where Aries is in your natal chart, right? This will let you know sort of what relationship you may feel motivated toward or what relationship would be best to work on right now. And if you have no idea where Venus is in your natal chart, what your natal chart is, how to read your natal chart, you will definitely want to join my private community, Cosmic Collective, where you can not only commune with other astrology enthusiasts, but you can take my workshop called Your Cosmic Selfie, an intro to your natal chart, right? Where you can get a really great introduction on how to read your natal chart, all right? And if you're interested in either of those, again, it's in the private community. The link will be in the description box below, all right? So yeah, it's not even just about, like I said, lust. It's about being laser-like focused on perhaps working on a relationship. Now, Venus is not just about relationships. Venus is also about money. So this could be perhaps the desire to start something new with respect to money. So this could be, depending on where Venus is in, well, I should say where Aries is in your natal chart, right? This could be about wanting to get a new job, wanting to start a business, wanting to find a different or new income stream, right? But keep in mind, by the time Venus enters Aries on February 4th, Mars is still going to be retrograde. This is important because Mars is the ruler of Aries. So, while you may have the best intentions, the most motivation and drive to start something new, relationship or money-wise, you probably just won't have the energy to do so. So keep that same energy. You're not going to have to wait too long, but keep that energy, because once you feel that fire, once you know how when you immediately want something and you're like, boom, I got to go do it. Like I said, keep that same energy because we're going to use it a little later on in the month. All right. All right. So next, on that same day, which is February 4th, we have Jupiter going direct in Gemini. All right. And this is one of the planetary shifts I was talking about earlier. Okay. So Jupiter's been in retrograde in Gemini for a couple of months. And so Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's like you want to go on an adventure. You want to learn something new. And especially in Gemini, it's like Jupiter just wants to expand your mind, learn new things, interact with different people, learn new and exciting skills. That's what Jupiter in Gemini is really great for. However, when Jupiter was retrograde, it's like as expansive as Jupiter can be, Jupiter retrograde really taught you about limitation, okay? And perhaps where your own mind is limited, perhaps where you're limiting yourself based on your belief system or the stories that you tell about yourself or about the world, right? So over the last couple of months, we've been learning about limitation, specifically mental limitation, right? Depending on where Gemini is in your natal chart, you may have found that since Jupiter was retrograde, you had difficulties expressing yourself, probably to the fullest, right? Especially if you're someone who is expressive, if you're someone who lives life out loud. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini kind of had you maybe a little quieter, a little more introspective, or perhaps prone to misunderstanding or miscommunication. Those are all forms of limitations in the sense of Jupiter in Gemini. All right. And so what have you learned over the last couple of months in terms of your mental limits? Are you standing in your own way by repeating to yourself that you can't do something? Or are you realizing that maybe if you learned this specific skill, you kind of would get out of the rut that you're in, or maybe you'd be able to move to a new job, move to a new city or whatever, right? Like I said, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini was all about limitation. And so now that Jupiter is going direct, we have the ability to move about the cabin freely. Okay. I love how Spirit just gave this to me. So Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, it's like you're on the plane and the seatbelt sign is on, right? You can't move around. You can't do much. You're stuck in your seat, even if you have to go to the bathroom. Even though some people can be complete assholes and still go to the bathroom when the seatbelt sign is on. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves, but whatever. Right? And so now that Jupiter is going direct in Gemini, it's like the seatbelt sign is turned off and you can move about the cabin freely. I like that, especially mentally. Take the brakes off of your mind. Learn some new skills. Learn some new skills. You're going to need them later on. But Jupiter and Gemini, I did that weirdly. Perfect for that. Okay? All right. So next, on February 12th, we have the full moon of the month, which is happening in the sign of Leo. And this speaks to the love part of the theme I was mentioning before, right? Leo is heart-centered energy. And full moons illuminate, they culminate, they show us shit, okay? When the moon is full, it shines its light, and typically it shines light on things that have been in the dark. And what it's going to shine light on is perhaps what's really in your heart, okay? I hate that this is happening right before Valentine's Day, because this could mean that someone could perhaps profess their love to you or break up with you. I mean, that could happen any day, but it's so apropos, right? That this is happening right before Valentine's Day, okay? Either way, whenever we have a full moon in Leo, it's like, what are you really passionate about? And when I say passionate, I mean like, what is it that you really want that perhaps you're afraid to have? Maybe there is a desire that burns within you, right? Remember, Leo is a fire sign. So fire, desire, go like this. Maybe there's a desire within you that burns hotly, but maybe you think you can have it. So what do? You put out that fire. But then something happens and that fire gets reignited and you keep putting it out. That full moon in Leo is going to be like, listen, you know that you want this. Why are you so afraid to have it? Why are you so afraid to embody it? Why are you so afraid to go after it? Yeah, that full moon in Leo can be a little dramatic, so expect that. But the things that are in your heart, the things that, again, you may even be afraid to want or to admit to, that full moon is going to show you. Okay? So it's up to you. You can answer the call or not. You can stoke that fire or put it out. We've all got free will. However, if this is a burning desire, it's probably not going anywhere anytime soon. So the full moon is going to be a great time to finally address it. And by finally, I mean either go after it, be the thing, do the thing, or let it go for good. So that's what we have mid-month. And then on Valentine's Day, February 14th, we have Mercury moving into the sign of Pisces. All right. And this speaks to the love portion again that I was talking about before. I want you, and this is my advice for February. It's my advice for Valentine's Day, especially with Mercury moving into Pisces. Don't believe what people tell you, okay? Especially on Valentine's Day. Mercury in Pisces is like whispering sweet nothings in your ear. It's telling you everything that you want to hear. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so handsome. I love you. But it all could just be blowing smoke up your ass. May not necessarily be sincere or may not be grounded in something real. Now, I'm not saying this to be negative or to get you to watch the rest of this video, even though you should. I'm saying this because it's the truth. Mercury in Pisces is great at imagination. It's also great at exaggeration. It's great at fantasy, but not at reality. It's great at the big picture, but not the details, okay? So when it comes to any form of sincerity, it's not to say that if someone says something to you, you immediately label it as insincere. It's more so that this transit allows people to over-exaggerate, allows people to say what they wish, not necessarily what is real, all right? But either way, apart from that, Mercury in Pisces is great for creative endeavors. So when it comes to songwriting, when it comes to choreography, when it comes to creating art, right? This is the transit for you. Okay. So if you are a creator, if you are a creative, if you do any sort of creative work for work or your career, you're going to want to take full advantage of Mercury in Pisces. And Mercury will be in Pisces mid-month until the beginning of March. All right. So you've got some time, but during that time, definitely daydream, definitely meditate, definitely take time to just be creative, whatever your creative process is. So if it means you got to spend some time alone, if it means you have to spend some time in nature, whatever it is, take advantage, because this is when a lot of your creative ideas can be formed, right? And that you can eventually bring to life. Okay. Then next, on February 18th, we have the sun entering the sign of Pisces, heralding Pisces season. All right. So this is going to be the final home stretch. Now, if you're new to astrology, you're probably like, okay, what do you mean final home stretch? But if you're a regular here, you probably know exactly what I'm going to say. January is not the natural new year, okay? It's the fiscal new year, the Gregorian calendar new year. But the real new year begins Aries season. So when the sun goes into Pisces, clearly the sign before Aries, it's like the natural December. It's when we start winding things down. It's when things come to a culmination, okay? Now, even though Pisces is a water sign, right? And water has everything to do with emotions and intuition, and Pisces being such an otherworldly type of energy, whenever the sun is in Pisces, I always find it to be a wonderful time to be self-reflective, okay? Because if we're about to start a new zodiacal year in March, then February is the time when we think about, okay, what has the last year been like? What happened? What didn't happen? What should I do going into this new year? What shouldn't I do, right? There's this energy of, wrapping things up, tying loose ends, figuring out what new things we want to do. And this bodes well kind of with everything that I was saying before, with Pisces being this sort of reflective time, the universe's December, if you will. And the fact that we're still kind of resting in February gives you ample time to really tend to your inner world. And that's really a part of the energy signature of Pisces. It's your inner world, your subconscious. Working with subliminals, scripting, especially scripting because Mercury is going to be in Pisces, remember. Anything to sort of work on your inner world and your subconscious will really benefit you with the sun in Pisces, okay? Pisces is also kind of a karmic sign, being that it's the last sign of the zodiac. Like everything from Aries season up until Pisces season sort of collects in Pisces. And not only do we reflect on these things, but we also suffer the consequences of those things. Let me not say suffer, because not all of our actions have been bad, right? But we find ourselves dealing with the consequences of past actions, okay? Like I said, Pisces, last sign of the zodiac, so we are wrapping things up. Now, the other thing I'll say about Pisces energy is that it's spiritual and it's also soft. And not soft in a bad way, but soft, like sensitive, tender. It's a great time to get in touch with your emotions, like point blank period. You may find that with the sun in Pisces, you can't escape your emotions. They're kind of all around you, and you become very conscious of your emotions. So don't run away from them, or should I say don't swim away from them, right? Allow yourself to feel them. Allow yourself, and this is something that's coming through right now, allow yourself to be love and to be loved. Love is a theme this month. Whether you're on the commercial side with Valentine's Day or whether you are tapped into the energy of the cosmos, love is definitely a thing this month. So many of us are looking for love. I feel like this should be a separate video, but I'm gonna go off right now. Many of us are looking for love, right? But if we're being honest, a lot of times we don't necessarily know how to receive it. Maybe it feels weird. Maybe it triggers us. Maybe it does a lot of things, right? I feel like this is a month where you can really get comfortable with love if you are willing to do the work, if you're willing to examine yourself. Remember I said Pisces energy, because it's the last sign of the zodiac, everything kind of collects in Pisces. What has transpired? How have you loved yourself? Or perhaps, how have you not loved yourself enough? Conversely, how are you giving love? How are you serving humanity, or at least those in your life, with love? Pisces is the sign of service, or one of the signs of service, I should say. And so being of service in a loving, spiritual, or even affectionate way could also be a thing when the sun moves into Pisces. So these are just some of the ways that this particular transit can transpire, all right? And you definitely need to look at your particular natal chart and see where Pisces is to sort of get a feel for what Pisces season will be like for you, okay? All right, and then on February 23rd, Mars will finally go direct in Cancer. This is big. This is the push. And this is what refers to the light part of the theme I was talking about before. So Mars retrograde has been hell, okay? Mars retrograde, it's responsible. It's the most annoying retrograde. I'm thankful that Mars does not go retrograde too often. It goes retrograde every 2 years. But when it does, it puts a freeze on everything. And it is not lost on me that during a Mars retrograde, the current president put a freeze on a whole bunch of shit, right? Astrology never lies, even though he does. He definitely does. But anyway, Mars retrograde, freeze, stop, halt, rest, in a nutshell. Thankfully, on February 23rd, Mars is going to start moving forward. So this is a little push that we're getting. This is a little momentum. Now, the caveat to that is that Mars is super uncomfortable in Cancer. If Mars is like a fiery ball of fire, Cancer is a glass of water, okay? And so you put a fireball in the water, what happens? The fire extinguishes. But now, I don't know why I feel the need to do this. I probably look crazy, but I'm channeling the energy of boiling, right? But now that fireball is going to start boiling. Okay. Now, while this does give us some of the momentum that we've been lacking over the last couple of months, what happens when you boil water, things get hot. And in this instance, water equals emotions. Emotions are going to run high. Emotions are going to run hot. Okay, people are going to be aggy. People are going to be frustrated in ways that they can't express effectively, in ways that they can't express in a Martian sort of way, which is physically, which is boldly, bluntly, okay? So just be mindful. Everyone's been feeling kind of aggy since Mars went retrograde anyway, but with Mars going direct in Cancer, be mindful of emotions, yours and other people's. But like I said, the best part about this is that it's going to give us that push. It's like, all right, now we're getting ready to get out of bed. Going back to the analogy I said before, right? You woke up a little bit before your alarm goes off and you're kind of ready to get out of bed, but you're staying in bed a little bit. You're kind of awake now. You're thinking about the day, maybe the week, and you're getting things right in your mind. The theme, not the theme, but I will say that a major portion of your energy in February is kind of like working behind the scenes, right? Whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, it's doing the things behind the scene like before you launch. And launch time is going to be in March, so it's not too far away. But as for right now, Mars going direct in Cancer is going to give us a little bit of a push, which is definitely, at least by my standards, definitely welcome. All right. And then finally, We close out the month with the new moon in Pisces, which is happening on February 27th. So the word that just came to mind was Disney. Now, I don't know how you feel about Disney movies, right? But if you're a girl or whatever, right? Disney movies kind of evoke the handsome prince or whoever coming to save you or blah, blah, blah. The reason why Disney came up is because Disney sells you a fantasy, right? In real life, is a man coming to save you? I may be the wrong person to answer this question, but yeah, probably not. You're only here to save yourself, okay? But that fantasy, that dream, you can kind of have it if you're willing to put in the work. And that's exactly what the new moon in Pisces is about, okay? So whatever dream, goal, fantasy that you have, plant those seeds. Simple. It could be as outlandish, as otherworldly as you want it to be, okay? But plant those seeds. Pisces energy, it kind of reminds you that imagination is real. Think of it this way. Everything that we use, I'm filming on a camera, it's going into my laptop, I have a cell phone, there's this water jug right here. At one point, all of these things were in someone's head. They were someone's imagination. I remember not long ago, I was watching that Apple presentation when Steve Jobs was still alive and he was presenting the iPad. And do you know how revolutionary that was? It looks like a placemat and you can do 1,000,001 things with it. That was somebody's imagination that now a 4-year-old cannot live without, right? So I say that to say that at the new moon in Pisces, plant those seeds of fantasy, right? Of delusion. Everyone's talking about being delulu, right? You want to be delulu? You want to have something that's seemingly impossible? Plant those seeds at that new moon in Pisces. You should. But to be a little more serious, dreams, especially because Saturn is still in Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces is like, listen, I don't care how outlandish your dream is. If you're willing to work toward it, it can become a reality. And this is the energy that we have at our fingertips at this new moon in Pisces. So this is not the new moon to limit yourself. It is not the new moon to, okay, I'll give you a perfect example and don't judge me for this, okay? I'm a Virgo. I love my to-do lists. And typically part of my morning ritual, while I have my coffee is I write my to-do list for the day, or if it's earlier in the week, for the week. But sometimes I get lazy. And sometimes I'll just start doing things without doing the to-do list. And so what I do sometimes to make myself feel better, I will write down something I already did and cross it off. It makes me feel good. And it makes me feel accomplished, right? Sometimes that's how we approach life, especially when it comes to getting new things. We limit ourselves to what we already have or what's like safe. Don't do that. Not with this new moon, okay? This is the new moon to let your imagination drive the car. And that is beautiful. And it's a great way to end the month. All right. So now that we've talked about the astrology, let's get a little practical and talk about what we can actually do this month, given the astrology. All right. So here are my tips for the month based on the astrology. So number 1, learn a new skill. And this speaks directly to Jupiter going direct in Gemini. Like I said before, this is the time to really expand your mind. And with Gemini being a sign of specific skills, Jupiter in Gemini is great for perhaps learning a new language, learning new cuisine, anything that's different that can stretch your mind, really make you think, expose you to different things. You're going to want to learn now, this month. You definitely will probably be able to put it to good use sooner rather than later. So especially if you're someone who has a goal of expanding your business, doing anything that requires you to stretch yourself, use February to learn a new skill. Okay? Number 2, visualize and use your imagination. Okay? This speaks directly to the plethora of Pisces energy that we have this month. Dream, daydream, visualize. Like, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. I don't have to go into it much. So yeah, do that. And then number 3, prepare to get up and get going. Like I said, by the time we reach spring and summer, you're going to be wishing for these slower days. So in the meantime, and in the downtime that we have this month, what can you do right now that can prepare you for when there's more energy? When you have the energy at your disposal to make things happen, to start new things, what can you do right now to prepare for that time? Spend some time thinking about it this month and then do those things so that when February comes, not when February comes, when that time comes, if you have something that requires certain steps to be taken before the thing is done, maybe you want to start taking those steps now. Maybe you want to prepare your body physically, right? Maybe you want to get into a better meditation practice. Maybe you want to learn a specific skill like astrology or numerology, right? Whatever that is, start preparing for it now. Being in a preparatory kind of mode this month is really going to help you once the momentum gets turned up a million notches, which it will. So get ready and get prepared. All right. Now, the pro tip for February, and this one is interesting because it was sort of just given to me. And at first I was like, huh? And then I was like, oh, it makes sense. Get an accountability partner. Okay. Now, hear me out. There's going to be a lot of new energy this year. And again, if you don't know what's going on astrologically for the year, the link to the yearly Astro forecast is in the description box below. Okay. So watch that video first. With all this new energy, there's going to be ample opportunity to do new things. Okay. And you may feel flustered, like you're sort of adrift, right? Maybe you may feel extremely distracted with everything that's going to be going on. I mean, we're just in the month of January and the amount of shit that has happened is mind-blowing. It's like this has been a time of trying to traverse a landmine and bombs are going off all over the place. It's rife with distractions, okay? And so in order to be able to harness the energy of the year and take advantage of it and start new things, I think that getting an accountability partner would be great because this is someone who can help ground you, provided that you choose an appropriate accountability partner, right? Which goes without saying. But having someone hold you accountable to the things that you say that you're going to do is going to be very helpful this year. I mean, that's always helpful. But for some reason, Spirit really told me that getting an accountability partner is really going to be the way to go this month and into the rest of the year. So that when you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, that person will be like, okay, not only are you really going to do it, but maybe they can offer assistance when it comes to brainstorming. Maybe this could be someone who could help you facilitate these goals and you keep each other accountable with respect to everything that you guys want to do. Okay. So it's really important that you find someone obviously you can depend on, someone that you can have a reciprocal relationship with so that they're just not, on your ass all the time, yet you don't have anything to talk to them about. Like, it's really important to find an appropriate accountability partner. And I think that's going to be super helpful going into the rest of the year. And so at this point, I want you to comment below, number 1, if you're still watching, and number 2, if you're looking for an accountability partner, you might just find them in the comments. All right. And if you're really serious about finding an accountability partner, then join Cosmic Collective. There are so many great members in there already who are ready, willing, and able to learn more about astrology, more about themselves, and to form a really great community. And so I'm pretty sure you can find a great accountability partner over there. And the link will be pinned to this video. All right, my loves. So that concludes this video on the monthly Astro forecast for the month of February. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into the month and beyond. All right, for information on my products and services, everything I mentioned in the video, you'll find that in the description box below or tagged to the video. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the absolute best for February and beyond, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.